My character is angry. I'm angry at everything. I'm angry with you, and that means I'm going to argue with everything that you say, and there's nothing you can do to change it because my character is just angry. Well, my character is wise. Super wise, in fact. They're really, really wise. They're the wisest wise person ever. Well, my character is super intelligent. Except I don't know how to be super intelligent because I'm not. Help. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of How to Be a Great GM, or in this case, How to Be a Better Player, or how to just have more fun as a player, I should say. My name is Guy, and we're talking about the different types of characters that you can play from a personality, psychological, emotional situation type state thing. Yeah, I had difficult trying to summarize what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about, though, is oftentimes as players we'll go, oh, I want to play the face of the party. I want to play the charismatic one. But in real life, I'm not charismatic. Or I want to play the intelligent one. But in real life, I'm not particularly the sharpest crayon in the box. Or I just want to play an angry character all the time. I just want to be angry, 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 angry. Why doesn't anyone want to play with me? So we're looking at those, the emotional state that your character seems to be in, or the space in which you want to position your character, not the type of build. You can be a mage or a warrior or a Wookiee or a warlock or a Jedi, it doesn't matter. You're going to have some kind of personality to your character, assumedly. Otherwise, you're just playing yourself, and then that's not really role-playing. Not that I am judging that. If that's what you are comfortable and happy doing, then that's what you're comfortable, happy doing. But for those who are not, for those who want to try and portray a different type of character, there are some things that perhaps you're not aware of, or perhaps you were aware of and just weren't actually articulating them, or perhaps you knew all of this all along, and at the end of the video you're going to go, well, I want that 20 minutes back, or however long the video might end up being. Who knows with these sort of things? I mean, really. Anyway, so let's jump straight into it. So let's say you want to play the face of the party, the socialite, the one who does all the talking. That's absolutely fine. But perhaps you're not entirely eloquent. Perhaps you're not necessarily the most confident speaker. But you do want to try, because if you can't do it in fantasy, then how on earth would you do it in reality, right? To be a socialite, obviously, and the face of the party, you need to step to the front. And that does take and require you to take a breath and step forward. But you should never step forward and make decisions on behalf of the party. You should step forward and find out information for the party and take that information back to the party. The face of the party is very seldom the brains of the party. And that's not always true, but sometimes it is. Sometimes though, or not sometimes, most of the time, you will need to go back to your party and you will need to talk to them about what you discovered. Yes, I went and spoke to the king and he said this, this, this and that. I'm not entirely sure what that means exactly, but he was very happy with the fact that we had done very little because I didn't tell him very much. Just because you're the face of the party doesn't mean that you have to be this gregarious type who spills all the beans. You can keep information secret. As a matter of fact, the best kind of socialite is the one who gets all the information and doesn't give any information in return. So often I have seen players who try to play the face of the party role, and as a GM I run circles around them getting all of the information out of them without even batting an eyelid. That's not necessarily a bad socialite, that's just a socialite who shouldn't necessarily be talking to strangers. And if that's how the player wanted to play it, then that's absolutely fine. So as a socialite, I believe that you should always bear in mind the following. Excuse me, it's quite hot in the studio today. Takes me back, way back to the times of Africa. Anyway, as a socialite, step forward, speak first. Don't speak on behalf of the party, speak in nebulous terms, don't give out information, rather gather information and report back. That really is the function of a socialite. And if you are ever tasked with distracting the enemy as the face of the party, go in there and distract them. This is where you get to make a fool of yourself and have fun whilst doing so, and then be rewarded for it. Let your hair down and just engage. It's a really fun role to play. I love doing it because the pressure is on you to keep the NPC engaged or to keep the situation engaged, whilst everyone else is in the background doing all of the actual hard work, so to speak. So that's the socialite. Really fun space to play the socialite. The friendly, helpful type. Now, this might feel like an odd role to be talking about. Surely everyone should be friendly and helpful? Well, yes, no. Not everyone needs to be friendly and helpful. And if you are friendly and helpful, how are you friendly and how are you helpful? A helpful character should be going to the party at the end of the day saying, "Oh, is your equipment repaired? Are you okay? Do you need food? Do we need this? Do we need that? Can I go to town and get this?" So a helpful character needs to be helpful. They don't just need to sit back and not do anything. Just smiling, sure, that makes them friendly, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they are going to be friends with anyone. To be a friendly, helpful character takes a huge amount of work. You need to invest in your fellow players' characters. That's what friends do. You ask questions about how they are. What are their goals? Are they happy? Are they achieving their goals? In other words, you become the wonderful heart of the party. But then you have to be the heart. You have to be there and you have to be willing to share. It is the greatest role-playing space that you can find yourself in terms of having deep and meaningful conversations. The Socialite is out there doing their thing and they're trying to keep secrets close and all that kind of stuff, but they're not really worried about the interpersonal relationships of the party. That's where you come in as the friendly, helpful character. It can be really demanding. You need to try and keep everyone's morale up as well. No one is keeping the party together as much as you are, because you are obviously engaged with everybody and hopefully have built up some strong bonds. So that's really where your focus should be if you are the friendly, helpful type. Now, a lot of players like to sometimes play a counter character. They like to play the anti-hero, the grouchy, grumbly one, and then they get lost, they get confused, and they don't understand why everyone doesn't like their character. So when you look at the grouchy character within fantasy or within films and so on, the grouchy character always has a soft side. There is something that they will never allow to happen, whether that is their companions to be hurt or for their companions to be sad or some injustice to happen. They will always have some underlying reason for staying around and some kind of redeeming feature. Now, if you think about it in real life, if you are someone who is always grouchy and grumbly and miserable, why would you stay with them? There is very little reason to hang around, in my opinion. You might have some loyalty or some emotional tie, but then that's what you need to establish before the game starts. It's very, very unlikely that it will happen once the game has started that characters will form a bond with this grouchy character, unless you have some kind of redeeming feature. You can also be gruff and grumbly towards NPCs, but never to the detriment of the party. That's something that's also important to bear in mind, is be grumbly and grouchy, but don't tell the king, "Oh, sod you, I'm angry." Yeah, that's really going to help the party. But there is nothing wrong with once the audience with the king is over, your character walks out of the chamber and slams his fist against the wall and goes, "I hate that king, sod him, he's absolutely useless." You're still expressing being a grumpy, grouchy character, but you're not destroying the party's chances of engaging with that character. And you are also not counteracting the effect of the Socialite who is trying to keep the party together. That's something, well, to present the party in a specific light or a specific way. So don't be counter to your fellow players when being grouchy. Someone who is stoic or who is very cold and calculating. We often sometimes think of elves as being perhaps cold and calculating or aloof. We think of Vulcans as being very stoic. You have a warrior who's unfazed by everything. Yeah, I've seen war. It's all right. Just survive. You know, you can play stoic. How do you play stoic so it makes sense? Well, a stoic should offer advice. As the Stoic, you should be looking at the situation from a cold, dispassionate point of view, not from a selfish point of view. Ultimately, that is what Stoicism was about, was a removal of emotion from self to a large degree. So you should remove your personal character's desires and wants and look at it from a holistic point of view. You should then offer that advice, but as a Stoic, if it's not heeded, you shouldn't get upset about it. That would be counter to the entire personality type that you're going for here. The Stoic will offer advice and will watch that advice fail and understand why. It was emotionally accepted or rejected or implemented, and that is why it failed. So the Stoic is all about that. you should be doing your best to get along and get on with it, because you know that that is logically the most sensible thing to do. Even if it is irksome or if it is troublesome, that is really, really the joy of being a Stoic, is being able to go, this is going to be a disaster. But they have chosen this course, and so I shall follow with them. Logic doesn't necessarily indicate that you have to abandon your party, and don't think that that is what a Stoic should ever do either. A Stoic shouldn't pout or abandon the party simply because the party is doing something silly. The Stoic should warn them that they're doing something silly, potentially offer advice, but not necessarily, just to say this is something that's going to cause more grief than it's worth. Is it really wise to do it? The party goes, yes, and then they charge in. The Stoic will follow in as well, because they understand that the party has provided them safety and security before, and most likely will do so in return in the future as well. Stoics understand the concept of reciprocity, of you give and you take in equal measure within a group of people. Now, unlike the grouchy character, the angry character is the character who is just frustrated with everything, the sullen kid who sits in the corner listening to heavy death metal music, or possibly just Beethoven played on a broken violin. I don't know. I mean, whatever. No, I'm being facetious. The angry, sullen individual who withdraws from everybody because they're angry. That only works if you plan on having a redemption arc. You have to be able to grow your character and redeem your character in the eyes of your fellow party members. Otherwise, why are they going to keep you around? Just like the grouchy character, don't express your anger and your contempt towards the detriment of the party. Express it to the party in a safe space, or to NPCs who don't really matter. Learn how to use that, and it can be really fun. Characters who have no time for anybody else, characters who are quiet and they don't want to engage, they mustn't engage. But, and this is the bottom line, every now and again, as in almost every session, but maybe every second session, if you have long sessions, or short sessions, I should say, your character should open up, reveal something that has made them angry. Why are they so angry? Is it because their parents abandoned them when they were young? Is it because they felt slighted as a school child, that their book wasn't covered in dinosaur wrapping paper, but everybody else's was? Where does that anger come from? And start to work through it. Now, just like the friendly, helpful character, the angry character is starting at the opposite point on that scale and should be moving towards becoming friendly and helpful as they realize that the party is there for them, the party has got their back, the party is there to help them, and they can relax and not be so angry. They have to go on that journey, or at least there needs to be enough of a redeeming quality and a desire to change, but a frustration not to change, that we get there. A classic example of this angry individual is from Star Trek Voyager, B'Elanna Torres, a half Klingon who has got a gigantic chip on her shoulder for being this interspecies half-breed, as well as just for being angry with the world and angry with everybody. And we discover over the course of a few seasons why she's angry, and after a while she is no longer angry. She's integrated and successfully contributing to the story. It's a great journey. It's a great character arc to watch. That's something that you should be aiming for as an angry character. So how do you play a wise character if you're not particularly wise? Well, what is wisdom? Wisdom oftentimes is the ability just to see outside of the immediate situation and to look at the bigger implications. Or perhaps sometimes it's to know when the emotion is relevant and correct. I don't know what that is. I'm not a wise person at all. I do stupid things all the time. So how do I play a wise character? Well, in my opinion, a wise character is someone who will listen to everything that has been presented in terms of what the characters are talking about from a plan perspective, but also from an emotional perspective. They want to understand what everybody is feeling and thinking at the same time. Now, their counsel, which is what they should be giving bits of advice to the leader of the party. They should be trying to offer insight into what everyone is feeling. Your plan has merit. Everyone seems to agree with it. But unfortunately, the paladin does not like it, and neither does the rogue. Perhaps you should seek an alternative course of action, one that satisfies both the requirement as well as your party members. So being wise is literally trying to find the medium ground between the emotional state of the party members and the actual plan itself. This doesn't mean that you come up with the plan. That's not your job. Your job isn't to guide or lead the party. Your job is to be wise and to advise the party when you see error. Now, if you're not seeing error, if you're going, oh, that's a good plan, that's a great plan, then are you really looking at it objectively? There is nothing wrong with offering this has a good chance of succeeding, however, there is a significant risk. Have we really thought about all of the opportunities and options that we have at our disposal? Sometimes literally just playing devil's advocate makes it feel as if you are wise. You have no alternative. You really don't. But that doesn't mean that others don't. So encouraging others to speak up is a great way of moving the party forward as a wise character. As a wise character, though, you have to be careful that you don't slow the group down to a committee decision every single time you're about to do something. But should we really cross the bridge, or is there an alternative? Yes, you should cross the bridge. It's the most sensible thing. The bridge may have a troll underneath it. Should we cross the bridge and try and spring the trap? Or perhaps there's an alternative that we should look at. That makes sense. Yes, let's go and explore under the bridge first. You don't say let's go explore under the bridge first, unless it's an idea that you've had, in which case then you can obviously voice it. But don't force it. You're not the one who's making the decisions here. You are the wise character. Similarly, when trying to play an intelligent character, this is the one that I get asked the most. How do I play an intelligent character with an 18 intelligence when I don't have it? You Richard Branson it. Quite literally do what Richard Branson, the giant entrepreneur of Virgin everything, did. And his statement is, you surround yourself with people who are smarter than you, and then you always ask for their input. That is what an intelligent character should be doing. An intelligent character should be going, right, what do you think? What is your plan? Do you have a plan? Have you thought about this? 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 Okay, let's put those together, come up with some kind of solution, and then let's interrogate that solution from different scenarios. Using the what-if statement is incredibly powerful. You are not going to make the ultimate decision, though. Don't think that the intelligent character is the leader of the party. The intelligent character is going to say, well, of all of the plans that were presented to us, this one seems to have the most chance of success. Even in the scenario of what if the king has a secret dragon hidden in the cave, we're pretty solidly protected against that. We've got this, we've got this, we've got that. So I think this is the best plan to go with. The wise character should be making sure that that plan A is sound, but that everybody is happy with that plan, and then the leader gets to make the final call, based on the advice, hopefully, of the intelligent character and the wise character. Intelligent characters shouldn't be the ones that know everything and that are dismissive of others. If that's the character arc that you want to go in, this haughty, well, you know nothing. Clearly you're not educated. Read any good books recently? No. Do you even know what a book is, apart from toilet paper? No, don't be silly. You can start that route, but then you should tone it down throughout the course of the adventures, where you realize that intelligence and education is not nearly as important as friendship and being happy with whom you are. Finally, the last type that you can be, and this is the type that I think a lot of people want to be, is the action hero. But just being an action hero is hard work. The primary thing of an action hero is that you have to lead by example. If you're not doing things that you wouldn't want everybody else to be doing, then why are you not doing them? The entire idea of being the action hero is that you do take charge, but that doesn't mean that you boss people around. That means that you utilize everybody who's around you, you give credit to everybody else except for yourself, and you support everybody around you. You're an action hero for a reason. You are there on the front lines. You are taking the knocks. You're not sending somebody else in there to take the knocks, but you are making sure that everybody in your team is doing the same thing. You are drawing on that strength. You are drawing on that hopefully intelligent character, the wise character, the grouchy character, all of those kind of characters. You're drawing from that, and you are trying to then take that into consideration, and then you are leading the charge. You are not sitting back and watching other people go by. That, for me, is what a true action hero is. The other important thing about the true action hero is that you shouldn't ever impose your will. You should make a decision based on what others say, but your personal choice should never override what your fellows have said unless you genuinely believe it to be true. Now, we have seen this in many, many, many stories where the action hero doesn't listen to the advice of the sages and of their friends and goes off on their own and ends up in trouble and then has to be rescued by their friends who come along later on. That's great in movies where the characters don't have a choice and they do whatever the scriptwriter tells them to do. In role-playing, if you override everybody else's counsel and decisions and just do what you want to do, you will find your character dying a horrible, lonely death. So don't do it. It's a bottom line. It's as simple as that. Those are some of the different personality / character tropes, memes, setups that I've encountered and have positives and negatives and the right and the wrong approach necessarily to get the most out of them, in my opinion. What are yours? What do you like to play? What do you like to do? In the comments down below, please. Let's talk about it. Let's discuss these things because we can only get better if we share and discuss. See, that's me being wise, right? Or just lazy. No, definitely being wise. Today's video was sponsored by World Anvil, that wonderful world aggregator software. They've added in random tables now, so you can make your own random tables that link to other random tables, and they've got generators that are adding into their software as well. It's all available for you to use online free, unless you want to get a subscription, which unlocks a whole bunch of other amazing tools for keeping track of your world, for designing your entire space, for keeping your notes, for keeping your character sheets, they've got all the different role-playing systems in there as well, so you know you've got all of the right rule sets and things loaded up. It really is a comprehensive go-to space for everything that revolves around role-playing. They really, really are. That's why they've been with the channel for so long. If you haven't checked them out, go and check them out. And if you do want to get a subscription, use the code GREATGM, and that will get you a discount if you sign up for one of their subscriptions. And that unlocks things like family trees and timelines and map module pinning and all kinds of really cool and exciting stuff. So go and check them out. They sponsored this week's show, and as usual, I cannot say thank you enough to them. They really, really do help our gaming experience become that much better. A thank you to you for watching all the way through to the end of today's video. I really do appreciate that. And of course, a major thank you to our Patreons who are supporting the channel, who make this channel possible. And from July onwards, in case you didn't hear, we are shifting our Patreon. We're doing a big change up based on the voting of our Patreons. Now the upper tiers are going to be getting a worksheet and notes on an educational basis in terms of how to be a better GM. Notes like how to create more interesting NPCs and character sheets and for the NPCs and forms and things, all that kind of good and wonderful stuff just to help up the game, and of course to include work that you may or may not want to do to just improve your own game. Anyway, until next time, I wish you and yours the very happiest of gaming.